Okay, all the board members are here.
Sandy's not here yet.
Don't recall having seen Sandy.
Oh, well, we can't start without Sandy. She'll be here.
Bob, is there a way to mute or block out phone numbers that we're seeing on the screen?
The only way I can do that is to have them tell me who they are and then rename that link. I am trying to mute phone number dial-ins as they come in so that their mic is not active, so that they do not show up on the screen.
Okay.
But they're coming in faster than I can catch them.
Right.
They can do *6 from their phone and mute themselves as well.
Yeah, they're showing muted, but the numbers are still there.
That is true. But as they're muted, they won't show up on the primary screen.
Okay.
Has somebody contacted Sandy?
I sent her a text.
Okay.
I've tried calling her home and her mobile and she's not picking up. I will try her work.
There's Sandy right there.
All right.
My apologies, I struggled finding the link.
I'm sorry, I sent this out on Friday and I have gotten a number of people. Am I supposed to have a link for this meeting? Yes, I sent it out on Friday.
Yes.
So my apologies for not refreshing the link for today. I believe that's all board members, Dr. Apostle.
All righty. At this time, we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a special school board meeting to review the presentation of the 2020-21 school year district budget. And we may have people that may wish to speak tonight during a public comment. So we'll review the way the public comment procedure works for tonight's meeting. So community comments have different community members have different opportunities to communicate with school board members, such as email, community forums, and school board meetings. So school board meetings are governed by the Open Public Meetings Act. And in accordance with that act, this board is not allowed to discuss items that are not on the agenda, including items a community member may speak about. On the other hand, community forums are not dictated by the Open Public Meetings Act and therefore allow for questions and answers. So tonight's meeting is a school board meeting and is streamed live via YouTube. Community members may make comments via email or phone as listed on the school's webpage or agenda. Comments will be heard or read during the community comment period. The board welcomes input from the public, and the public comment procedure allows each person 3 minutes to speak and also asks that you state your name and address before speaking. So at this time, do we have any community member online with us that wishes to speak at this time? Host, do we have any emails from anyone at this time?
We have one from Michelle Bildgren. I am wondering about the platforms and how the K-12 works, and how can we, parents, students, get access early to navigate the platforms? How many different platforms, programs are we going to use or need? Google Classroom, Zoom, K-12, Adobe, Microsoft, Word, PowerPoint, etc. How are we going to get access to them if we do not have them? Will the school district provide access codes? What materials are we going to need? Webcam, microphone, textbooks, or are they all going to be online ebooks? What will be the core classes offered, and how can we change them if we need to? Will it be a work at your own pace on subjects, or does it keep moving forward even though the student hasn't grasped the last concept? How much support will the teachers' staff offer, or will they be learning the navigation of the platforms at the same time?
Alrighty. We have the contact information for that individual.
I have this submitter's email address, yes.
Alrighty. Sounds like we'll be in touch with them to get them the answers to their questions. So,
That's the only email in the box.
alrighty. And I see a number on the screen. Is someone else trying to speak? No, okay. Alrighty, and at this time, we probably don't have any YouTube comments, correct? It's too early in the meeting.
Correct.
Alrighty. So at this point in time, we will, I'll turn the meeting over to Dr. Apostle. He may have some questions and introduce the budget director. I think you're still on mute, sir.
Thank you, President Tarswell. Good evening. I welcome everyone to this meeting, and I appreciate everyone's attendance. This evening, we will present the Shelton School District recommended 2020-21 budget, which takes into account many serious issues, but none more important than the solvency of the school district and its continued march towards producing and providing an exceptional educational program for our students. I will now ask our Executive Director of Finance, Brenda Trogstad, to present the 2020-21 budget. Thank you.
Good evening. At the last school board meeting, we actually presented the overview of the budget for the 2021 school year. We do have some budget reductions that we proposed in this budget for the 2021 school year that I would like to go through. I will share them on the screen. Our budget was submitted to ESD 113 earlier in July. They do a review for compliance and audit requirements. That has passed through Educational Service District 113. Our budget is now in review at OSPI. The formal budget adoption will take place next Tuesday at the regular school board meeting. So if I may share the screen and just go through the proposed budget reductions that we've worked through with the school board.
Thank you, Brenda.
Okay, where did my screen go? I've lost my screen. Here it is. Okay, I need to move it back over here. Okay. Can you all see it?
Yes.
Okay, good, because it switched to my other monitor, sorry. So the proposal, we've worked every Thursday afternoon with the school board for quite some time now, working through budget and what our projected revenues were, expenditures from the prior year, and things have changed almost weekly, sometimes daily. So in the proposed budget, there was a 10% budget reduction that we did submit with the budget to the ESD and to OSPI. So that is what I will go through and share with you first. So
I'm trying the best I can. You have no food.
the first item on the line is the Executive Director of Student Services. We had this position for part of the year. And we will not be renewing this position. So that was a reduction budget of $174.
Brenda, your audio is very broken.
I can take me off video if people just want to share the screen. That's about my only option, I think.
Well, you're better now.
Okay, it may be just because I'm having to look at that other screen. So the second item is Executive Director of State and Federal Programs. That was also in last year, and that was a reduction. We will not be renewing that. That is also $176,424. Both of these positions have been absorbed by current administration at the district level. So they are taking the job duties that these two did currently. The next item is $168,000 for a mentor program. Dr. Apostle started this a couple years ago with teachers to assist other teachers in mentoring, helping them with their instruction. So we aren't going to continue that in the 2021 school year. We're hoping that we will bring it back at another time when budget is a little less strict. The next item is $202,791. That is the reduction right now because we are online platform only of our school resource officers. When we don't have students there, we don't need to have the school resource officers there. Those are contracts with the city of Shelton. When the students come back, we will be revisiting that. We also had a retirement from our Director of Safety and Security. So at this point in time, we will not be filling that position. The next item is we had a HVAC loan for some work that was done at Shelton High School 10 years ago. So we've been paying on that loan, and I finally made the final payment on June 1st. So that is a reduction in our expenditures in our budget. And I'm pleased to say we no longer have any loans. The next item is $40,000. That was a line item in last year's budget for maintenance and custodial overtime. We will be not having overtime this year. And so we've taken that as a reduction in expenditures. The next line item is a reduction in certificated staff. We had 26 retiree or resignations this year in that category. We have filled all but 10. So we will not be filling those at this time. So we're taking that as a reduction of $1,260,887. The next one is a reorganization of the fiscal department, and that is a reduction of $75,000. The next slide item is curriculum leaders. Kelly Neely manages that department, and she has not had those this year, so we have removed that as a line item in our budget also for $37,914. The next line is every year we have paraeducators that are hired for 1 year only for specific students, typically one-on-ones in the special education department. And those automatically do not renew. So that is a line item reduction in our budget of $896,382. And the next line item is a reduction of our paraeducator paratech positions. That comes to $2,548,511, and that is calculated out at 29.729 FTE for the district. So those are the budget reductions that were submitted with the actual budget when it was due on July 10th. The next section are items that we have been reviewing at all different levels with administration, with the school board. Due to being 100% online learning to start the year, we have reduced need for some positions at this time. So I'll go through those. The first section is secretary positions. We're proposing that we reduce the secretary positions currently for 7.641 FTE.
I know, but
Total dollar amount is $528,702.
I'm gonna wash your dog blankets.
And these are, I just want to remind you, these are layoffs. So these would be called back depending on the status of COVID. When we go to the hybrid model, we go face to face. So these are layoffs at this point in time. The next line item is custodial positions. We're proposing 8 layoffs for custodial positions due to COVID. We don't have the students in the buildings, so there's not as large a need to be doing the cleaning and disinfecting that will be happening when students come back. The next one is a partial reduction of our aquatic director at the high school pool. As you probably know, we've done a major renovation to that pool and it looks beautiful, but at this point in time, we can't use it. We're not allowed to use it due to COVID. But we do need someone there to do the chemicals and that type of thing. So we're reducing that partially. The next section is athletics and activities. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit so you can see the breakdown down below of what that means. This is our coaches, our club advisors. There's intramurals in there. Game management are the people that do the time clock, take the tickets at the booths. Our officials that referee the games, and then travel to get us to competitions. As I'm sure you've heard, there's been a delay in a lot of our sports due to COVID. And so we've plugged all the numbers in here as a reduction. We aren't sure what that will look like, but we've put the whole thing in for right now, just as anticipation. The next line item is bus driver positions. We will propose to reduce by 20.19 FTE. That's a total of $1,932,154. The state will not be giving us full transportation funding. So far this next year, they will take legislative action to change that when they come to session in January. So, and we also won't be transporting kids to and from school. And that's how we get our funding, is the to from school mileage. So what we've done is we do have some special ed routes that go to other facilities in another city, Tacoma, Olympia, that we will keep those routes because we need to transport those students. And we're also keeping a couple of drivers that we are planning to possibly bring a few kids in small groups at different times that we'll have those ready to go. And just a note on transportation funding, the transportation funding can only be used for transportation. So that is how our drivers and our mechanics are paid for. So that is why we're not going to be getting the funding. So we're not going to be able to keep them on at this moment in time. The next line item is mechanics. We're proposing reducing by 2 FTE in that area, because our non-high districts that we serve in our transportation co-op also have gone online, so they will not have a need for mechanics. And we will have minimal buses on the road, as I just shared. So we will be reducing down mechanics. We will be continuing to work on our fleet to make sure they are ready to go when we're able to come back face to face. The next line item is food services. We've been serving breakfast and lunch from the day we shut down on March 13th, but our numbers are down drastically. So our revenue that program generates is way down. We've actually lost about $600,000 in our current year based on the lack of people picking up meals. So we're proposing that we reduce food services staff by 5.04 FTE, which is $319,029. We will be serving lunches and breakfast at 3 sites, Bordeaux, Evergreen, and Shelton High School. So, but we can only serve, the rules have changed. We can only serve to our students now, and they will no longer be free meals. They will be free or reduced, or they will have to be paid for per the regulations. The next section you see there in yellow are just some notes on funding shifts that we were able to move a couple of items out of our basic ed funding into actual grant money. So that alleviated a little bit. First one is a secretary that was working with teaching and learning. She now assists in state and federal programs. So we're allowed to charge some of her costs to federal grants. So that's $30,000 we were able to move. And then the next line item, we have bilingual paratechs that assist in the schools that are liaisons with our families. And those previously were charged basic ed, but our transitional bilingual grant now has availability in it. So we were able to move those for next year. So that is the budget reductions that we have included in the budget that was submitted to ESD and OSPI. Does the board have any questions on that?
Comments from other board members? We had a
If I
chance.
may, if board members don't have any questions, I do have a comment I would like to make, President Tarswell.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. There are 3 factors that are very important in discussing a school district budget. And the first one is enrollment. Our hope is that all of our students will come back because we're going to offer a robust K-12 platform that our teachers, our Shelton School District teachers will teach. And I'm hoping that all of our students come back because we're going to do a great job providing a great education for our students. But still, enrollment is an issue because we don't know exactly how many students are coming back. We've projected very conservatively at 4,125 students. We ended last year with about 300 more students than that, but in developing the budget, we have to be conservative in terms of our revenue. The other issue that came into play in developing this recommendation is that we have heard from the state of Washington that they're anticipating a $10 billion deficit this year and a $12 billion, it could grow to $12 billion next year. And that will impact years following. So in developing this recommendation, we not only plan for the academic year 2020-21, but we also have to be cognizant of the next 2 years, which could be even more difficult. So that came into play. The other thing that we considered is that if we go to the hybrid model, that's going to be more costly than the online model that we're currently going to be supporting. So those are 3 major factors that we needed to consider and that were hovering over every discussion that we had in terms of the 2021 budget. Our responsibility as a school board and a superintendent is to maintain solvency. And I believe through this action, we're recommending, we are providing for solvency and the continuation of an excellent educational program under the most adverse circumstances that we've been involved with for many, many years. So I just wanted to add that in terms of Brenda's presentation.
And those are very good points. Those are things we've been discussing about and waiting, seems like for a lot longer than our 5 months, trying
Yes.
to get some idea of where things are going. Everybody's trying to look into their crystal ball and finding out that it's very cloudy, and still trying to make projections as we go forward and protect the programs that we have, and still give the students the opportunities to do as many of the classes that we've been offering, keep that going on, and still provide the healthy environment that we need for everyone else. So the decision to go online certainly has allowed staff to focus directly on preparing for one model of educating, rather than, well, let's have plan A and plan B, and then maybe even have a plan C. We could focus on getting ready for school, and then we can focus on what the next steps might be for a hybrid model. And these reductions were things that we had to spend a lot of time developing and looking at, weighing pros and cons of different things. This is how the list has shaped up at this point. We've had a lot of different thought processes along the way, different reductions to look at, and these are the ones that we've that have made it to the final version here. And while this page talks a lot about the reduction, Brenda, can you tell us again the overall number for the budget?
Okay, it's in my pile. It's right at $65 million. I just don't have it handy in front of me. Sorry, I was trying to get your resolution ready before the meeting. I should have had it. It has been a hard process, a long, thoughtful process. And we have had a lot of meetings and a lot of discussions involving a lot of people to get to these. Lots of different scenarios have been looked at.
Mm-hmm. Other comments from other board members?
I will just say, I mean, many people already know this, that we've been meeting weekly about the budget, and it's never been easy. I think during these uncertain times and not having a clear understanding of our funding and how things are going to shape up has been difficult. But it's also not lost on any of us that these are positions and people who are going to be out of a job, either as a layoff or their position just not being filled at all at this time. I am hopeful that as we start to get a better understanding from our state with the funding, that we can move forward and just continue to reassess and look at what our needs are, and continue to fill and shape our program for our kids and the schools for what they need. But unfortunately, this is where we're at this point in time.
Anyone else?
Just to comment, if I may, President Tarswell, on what Carrie Davison just mentioned. It's very important for everyone to realize that this is where we are today. And as we all know, we've all experienced this the last 7 months. Things change almost daily. But at the same time, that we have to deal with the current situation. And this recommendation is based totally on the current variables that are before us. The enrollment figure is a critical issue for not only Shelton, but for every school district across the country. I believe we are going to present an exceptional online program. Our teachers are prepared to do whatever it takes, along with our building administration and district administration, to put forth the very best educational experience for our students. We're going to be supportive of students and families that have special situations and special needs. If we need to provide additional transportation, hopefully, we'll be able to bring back bus drivers to provide that transportation. If we need more food service for our families and for our students, we will provide that too. In my correspondence with the community and with staff, I've indicated that the number one priority is the safety and the health of our staff, students, and families. But right along with that, we also have indicated very clearly, I have, and so have many other people, our school board, that we will provide for those special situations as they come about. Where we believe that we need to support every single family, every single student, every single staff member in this school district. And I can tell you we are on point. Some of us are working 7 days a week, many hours every single day to prepare for when our program begins on September 2nd. I truly believe that Shelton has the capacity in its staff and program to excel even during these very, very difficult times. And we're not in this alone. Every single district, every colleague that I've talked to, they're talking about the same things that we're talking about this evening. It's not just a special case where Shelton School District stands this evening. Every school district in America and in the state of Washington is facing some of the same issues. And you know, the federal government doesn't have a blueprint. The state of Washington doesn't have a blueprint, and no school district has a blueprint that's exact and specific in terms of what we're going to be dealing with. So the key is going to be that we're nimble and flexible from day to day almost, to make sure that what we say we're going to do for our students and families is going to happen. And I, as your superintendent, will ensure families and students and staff that what I've been talking about, what the board has been discussing, we will move forward in earnest in what we've said we are going to do. We're going to provide for the safety and health of everyone, and we are going to deal specifically with individual issues and problems and concerns. That you can go to the bank on. Thank you.
And even though we have this, this list of reductions and layoffs, as we come back to school in the hybrid model, as we come back face to face, these numbers are gonna change again. All of those that are in green, that's they're gonna start costing money instead of being able to be a layoff and a budget reduction for us. It's going to turn, and those are going to be additional expenses for when we come back to school. It's going to get a little more costly than it has been in the past. So,
but right in line with that, President Tarswell, we have to be very cognizant of the immediate years following this one, because we don't want to be in a negative position at the beginning of 21-22, and that can happen quickly if we're not careful. So it's basically, now we're in a different realm. We're in a different world as a public school system. When the state of Washington is talking about being in the red billions of dollars, we have to be aware what that means and how it can impact our kids and our school district, our community. So these are not easy waters to navigate. So I'm going to need everybody's assistance to make it through, believe me. And we will be communicating with the public, with students, with parents. We've got open forums going on at all of our schools, district open forums. We're trying to communicate online to make sure everybody understands where we're at and why we're doing these things. we're trying very hard, folks. And those of you that are out there listening, I can tell you that it's a full court press to meet the needs of our kids. We love our kids. We care about the families, and we want to do the very, very best for everybody. It's just challenging. That's all. Very challenging.
And we have the added reality, we have seen the state um, withhold funds for one reason or another. And that doesn't relieve us of the obligation to make our payroll and pay our bills and things like that. So we have to make sure that we have regular enough money day to day to be able to pay those things, even if the state short pays us or withhold funds at all.
And Shelton School District has been there before when it was very, very difficult. But this is even more difficult because it's all encompassing. So we never want to go backwards in terms of our academic programs. And that's why we're making the recommendation that we're making, because we must continue. We owe it to our kids, our students, to do the very best for them, even under the most adverse conditions. They're depending on us. And I feel terrible, quite honestly, making this recommendation, because I know our people are very valuable to everything I've just stated. And it's one of the toughest decisions I've made in my career. It's very difficult. But I'm hoping that things get better with the pandemic and with our financial situation, so that we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Let's put it that way. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from other board members?
I'd like to just, thank Brenda and Alex and Terry and actually all the staff who worked really hard making these tough decisions. As a new board member, I got a lesson real quick in school district finance, and it's very, very complex. But, like what Carrie mentioned, I know behind every single one of those numbers is people and families who are going to be impacted by this decision. So it is not an easy decision. And I do appreciate the work that they all did to be very sensitive to the impacts to employees and try to be creative in as many areas as possible to reduce the loss of jobs. Our community is already hit very hard, and losing this many jobs at this time is really, really tough. And so it's necessary. I think the number, Brenda, is 86% of our budget is people. Is that correct? So I mean, that's where the dollars are when you need to cut funding. And the other part of it too that I had to learn was that the revenue is tied to, most of the revenue is tied to our enrollment. So as that shifts, so does the revenue. So it seems like a very complex game that you try to make all these pieces fit together. And unfortunately, that ends up impacting people. And that's just never easy. So thanks for the hard work. And I think that you landed in a good place. And again, I think Sally's mentioned it at other of our budget sessions that, hopefully many of these are temporary. And then we'll see. And then as the year progresses and as next year comes along as well.
All righty. Any other comments or questions? Okay. All righty. Then are we ready to move on to the resolution? Is the second part of the presentation here, and turn that over to Dr. Postle. Do you have something you want to say about the upcoming resolution that we'll be looking at here?
Well, I think we've presented a budget that will carry us through these very, very difficult times. And I'm hoping for this resolution to be passed by the school board so that we can continue to try to move forward. As I mentioned earlier, there are three factors that could influence this budget recommendation, and we will keep an eye on the online learning. We will deal with the enrollment that we finally end up with. That could have a bearing on everything. But the two others, the preparing for what might happen in the next few years, is critical in relation to the 2021 budget. And if we were to go to a hybrid model, it will be more costly. And again, our enrollment is going to be very impacting in terms of next steps for our district. So we're hoping that our families stay with us and they believe in us, and they should, because we are preparing to do the very best for our students and our families. Thank you.
Thank you. Have board members had a chance to review the resolution? And is there a motion for the board to consider?
Not at this time, there's not. This is something that we'll be looking at in our regular board meeting next week.
The regular board meeting will have the resolution that will be adopting the school district budget, and that'll be resolution number 20-07. Tonight before us, we have resolution 20-06, which is establishing the reduced educational program. And we're asked to review that and consider, the recommendation is to pass that this evening. So
I guess my question is, that wasn't formally on our agenda for tonight. So is that something that we're able to do?
is that an actionable? I'll have to ask some parliamentary procedure here, some advice.
I honestly don't know the process. Our district attorney said it should be approved tonight, hopefully, but.
Our agenda simply states budget recommendation presentation. So it didn't list action items,
Okay.
but it didn't list any other of the formal things that we have in a school board meeting. It just says budget presentation.
That is a valid point there. What do we have a recommendation? I know this is what the attorney had set forth. Do we have any way of contacting?
Brenda shared this budget presentation with the attorney, and he put together the resolution, and he did not give us any direction that we had to put the resolution as a separate item on the agenda. So I'm not sure. I would highly recommend we approve it, and so we can move on and people can move on. And if there's a technical issue, then we deal with that separately. And we could come back through possibly, but this is an important moment for staff and for the school district. And like I said, we work directly with the attorney today.
Would members of the board consider passage or considering the resolution tonight contingent on follow-up discussion with the attorney in the morning to make sure that it is compliant with OPMA, which is the Open Public Meetings Act? And if not, it'll have to be, well, to do whatever it takes to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act. Would that be an acceptable avenue?
We
I
can
would
work
think
with
so.
the attorney tomorrow morning for sure, early.
Uh-huh.
I can actually call him when the meeting is done. We originally had an appointment after this meeting, so I'm sure he will be available also if you wish me to do that.
Alrighty. I think the board would like to just make sure that we are in compliance with the OPMA on this, since it was not, since there was only one item on the agenda. So, all right.
I'll make a motion that we adopt resolution number 20-06, establishing a reduced educational program.
Contingent on
Contingent
agreement from the
on,
attorney
yeah.
that it is compliant with the OPMA. All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All righty. It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution number 20-06. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approving resolution 20-06, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. The resolution is adopted contingent on verifying with the attorney that it is compliant. All righty. Is there any other matter before us, before the board?
That was the only item on the agenda that was sent to us.
All righty. Would someone like to make a move to adjourn?
So moved.
Talk about comments.
Oh. Thank you, host. We can see if there is additional comment. Yes, please, since this is a public meeting. Also want to acknowledge that the regular board meeting on Tuesday, the 25th, will have a public hearing for the budget as well, and people can comment, take some time to form some questions and present questions at the regular school board meeting on Tuesday during the public hearing as well. So is there?
I have a public comment.
All righty. Can you give us your name, address, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak, please.
Yes, my name's Shelley Dunnington. My address is 616 Holly Drive. And I checked your agenda and it does say you're presenting, not approving. So it's a special meeting. Any special meeting must have any action items. And so this is the first time I've heard you present the budget. And I actually, as a community member, have some real issues with some of the positions that are not being cut. Like you're cutting. I mean, anybody that knows me knows I'm the biggest advocate for activities and athletics, but you're cutting activity and athletics, but yet you have an athletic director and spending that kind of money. And so I will tomorrow probably disclose a contract for that athletic director, just for the purpose of understanding why you would keep an athletic director when I know that Kitsap County, who did not, and North Thurston and other huge athletic schools are not keeping theirs, but Mason County is. And I am one that am all for it, but I need to understand if we're not providing the sports or the activities, why we're going to spend the money, So that is one of the things I have a huge issue with. Besides, I have several other areas I would love to be able to provide comments to that I'm not ready to tonight. But as listening to you guys, I should have the opportunity to have those days until next Tuesday to provide that. So as board members, you should understand in a special meeting, if you're going to approve a resolution, it must show, the agenda must show that there's going to be action.
Again, the adoption of the budget will happen after the public hearing on Tuesday. And so we invite you to formulate your comment period formulate your comments and
Well-
during the public hearing on Tuesday. That'll be another
Well,
opportunity.
how come you got, well, why did you vote for it tonight if that's when it's going to happen? I mean,
I'm sorry.
you vote for it on the day that it happens. I mean, if you approve it tonight and then you say it's going to happen on Tuesday, how can you can say the same vote's going to be if community members are speaking out?
I understand your question now. There are two resolutions involved in passing this budget. First one we passed tonight, which is just a preliminary action, and the.
But you don't have that right. It's illegal to do any actions because your agenda does not say you're doing any actions. So that's completely illegal.
Thank you for that comment. We will verify that with.
It looks like Brenda may have something to say about that. She's raising her hand.
Thank you.
Well, while you were talking, I went and called our attorney just because I knew I could get him. And he did say we will not be able to take action on this because it does have to be advertised on the agenda 24 hours in advance because of a special meeting. So he's recommending we need to call another special meeting and give 24 hours notice.
Okay. All righty.
That answers that.
Yes.
Thank you very much for getting us an answer so quickly. Appreciate that. So.
I think in addition, it's important to point out that these are two separate resolutions, that this is not a budget resolution that we were looking at tonight. And as Brenda has just commented on, the budget resolution will happen on our Tuesday meeting. And as Sandy said, we do want to hear from the public about this. So that'll give you plenty of opportunity to formulate your questions. We will obviously be looking at resolution 20-06, which we talked about tonight, which is specifically looking at a need of reduction in force, which is different from the budget. There's a two-step process. So hopefully that makes that a little more clear.
But any action items tonight are illegal based upon your agenda that says it's a presentation.
Exactly. And as we have just heard, the agenda or the item that was brought up tonight and a motion was made is not going to be able to stand. So that will be something that we will need to take up in a future meeting.
And you probably would like all your guys' board members to attend OPMA meetings so that they understand how that does work in the future.
Thank you for your comments. Host, do we have any other?
I have a question. Do we need to formally rescind this motion?
I would, just to make it in your minutes that is what you were doing.
Yes.
Can we
From my
also
discussion with our
ask
attorney.
anybody who's not muted to please mute? There's a lot of background noise and it's difficult to hear anybody when they're speaking.
I just muted the caller.
Thank you.
Ready. Can we have a motion then to dissolve our previous motion?
I move to rescind our previous motion.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to rescind the previous motion in order to be compliant with OPMA. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. We thank the people for clarifying our action for us, and thank you, Brenda, for getting us a quick answer on that. Is there any other public comment at this time?
I have a number of comments that have been posted to the Zoom chat.
All right.
One, which is identified only as Galaxy Tab A. Can we educate the public about our meals and food services so that they are aware of the revenues we lost and how to make sure that it is used and we don't lose resources? Next one. Will these individuals who are being temporarily RIFed qualify for unemployment? Next one, Ava Taylor. Why are paras the only ones not under the layoffs? Dana Boone. What equates to an FTE teacher position, since most teacher positions are varied in salary structure? Lisa Slagle. With the federal program reduction, will that be cutting LAP? Also, are paras not on the layoff list because they will not be RIFed? And then I have an email to the mailbox from 11 Rico, which is part of the Washington Education Association. Shelton School District has received $975,000 in ESSER/CARES funding that, emphasis added, can be used to keep folks employed and protect educator jobs. What are you doing with the money? Will you be using it to save our employees, community members' jobs? Statewide, school districts have received more than $1 billion in budget surpluses, reserves. Do you agree that this money should be invested in student services and retraining or retaining our school staff, not stashing it away in a bank account or filling the pockets of district admin? Educators who work in classified position, again, emphasis added, are increasingly hard to fill positions that often require specialized training and are essential to the successes of our schools, end emphasis. What will you do, or what are you planning to do to retain our classified/ESP employees? Signed in Unity, 11 Rico, Masters of Education and Leadership, Washington Education Association. That's the extent of the comments that I have at this time.
All righty. Well, thank you very much. And we do thank the public for their comment. It is always a value to see what we need to improve on in communicating and answering questions that the public has. Again, there will be a public hearing in the regular board meeting of August 28th. And we invite people to participate in that hearing and be heard. And we look forward to hearing from some of you then. In the meantime, we have some work to do in answering some concerns.
Sandy, you
Yes.
just said the board meeting on August 28th, but it's August 25th. I just want to clarify that for anybody that wants to.
Thank you very
It
much.
is next Tuesday, the 25th. That is our next board meeting at 6 o'clock.
Thank you very much. Yes. Thank you for that correction. All righty. With that, are we ready to move for adjournment?
I move that we adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 All righty. We are adjourned. Thank you very much for participating tonight and giving us your time.